Greetings, my brothers and sisters. Welcome to the Sudds-R-Us podcast, hosted by Irene.
Greetings, everyone.
Ben Sudderth Jr. We're just thankful to God once again that we're able to come before you with thought-provoking, mind-percolating, and creative content every single week around the concepts of the circle of love, where we focus on God, marriage, family, and life. So we're going to continue with our life topic this week. We have been focusing on that particular topic this month, basically. And a couple of weeks ago, we were on the actual areas of learning life skills. So we're going to stay on life skills. And this week, we're going to look at life skills, not only how they impact individuals, but also how they impact marriages.
Yes, so we want to give a shout out. Our son is with us today. Normally we're shouting out from afar, but Mr. Podcaster himself, E13 in the parade way. Come on. And we're just grateful to be on this platform with him, where he offers so many other podcasts that reflect on sports, of course, music, life, comedy, spirituality, as well as relationships. So you can find BS3 Radio on all of the social media platforms and podcast platforms, as well as Sudds-R-Us. So we invite you to like, review, subscribe, comment, all of the above, and give us some love, okay? So if you have any questions, we will put our email address below. You're welcome to send us an email, give us your comments, or even suggested topics. We're open for that.
All right. We're excited today. I tell you, we've been waiting for this particular opportunity for a while now. We have our oldest, our firstborn son with us, and our youngest, our baby girl with us. So Mr. Podcaster himself, we always like to embarrass him and give you his total government name.
It's the same as yours.
Sudderth the third, and he's Mr. Podcaster, of course, and also sales supervisor. And they've been married for 10 years. We're excited about them. And then we have Deidre, our songbird, our baby girl, who's a social worker. And they're still on their honeymoon. It's less than a year. So we can be happy and thankful to them as well. Mm-hmm. So we have a wide range of life skill benefactors here as individuals and as married couples. So our daughter-in-law, Erica, we're just so excited that she's with us.
Yes.
She's not really a daughter-in-law. She's a daughter because she's a part of that circle of love.
Yeah.
And she's a life coach. And our son, we don't call him son-in-law, our son, he's a part of that circle now. He's Mr. Technology, and he does different tech-savvy implements and installations on colleges and high schools. So we're going to give them a chance to also introduce themselves. So if you want to say hi, if you want to give us some information on your background or whatever you like to share before we get started.
Sure. So
go ahead.
I'll go. You go first.
Well, hello everybody. We've actually been married for 15 years. It'll be 16. It'll be 19 years we've been together in June.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But happy to be here. It's fun to see everybody's faces and do this together. I enjoy listening to you guys. And as a coach, it's just good to be able to help people and hopefully be able to add some value here and also receive some, glean some wisdom. So
so I'm Trey, Ben Sudderth III. Started BS3 Radio about almost 2 years in August. And also I'm a customer service trainer. That's my day job, my 8 to 5. But excited to be on the show. Excited to see how far it's grown, and looking forward to getting into the conversation today.
All right.
All right. Spencer.
All right, hey everybody. Spencer Bryant Jr. For my day job, I am a project manager for a private company. We do Wi-Fi and streaming services for higher education across the country. So yeah, well, this is for me. Originally from Georgia, South Georgia, so I've been pretty local with the Georgia area. So.
All right.
Good.
Okay.
It's on you. You're the last one.
Right. Okay. Deidre, my name was already said. I do hospital social work, and that's pretty much it.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, we didn't give backgrounds because everybody knows that, Trey went to Morehouse and Deidre went to Spelman. But if there's anything else you want to share as far as educational background or anything like that, Spencer, Erica?
I've taken many classes, but no, my background mainly is in insurance litigation. I did that for like 15 years. And then in 2017, we decided to homeschool. And from there, I started my own business, Life Coaching 360. And so I've been doing that. And then on top of that, I really got blessed with a great opportunity with A&M Healthcare. So I get to help health professionals. I guess that's my daytime job, as well as coaching and helping people. So that's my background.
Okay. Anything else you'd like to add, Spencer?
I'll add a couple more things. So my background here, after high school, I went into the military. I was in the Air Force. With that, I did basically flight controls for my aircraft that I was a part of. And then after military, I had a little while after that, I went to Georgia State and I got my bachelor's in computer science, where I, interned for the company I'm currently with now. So yeah.
All right. So I just want you guys to share, so our listeners will know we're talking to some professional people, even though you're son and daughters.
Right.
We want to make sure that they understand we're not just showing favoritism. We want to make sure that we have some qualified guests on this show today.
All right. So let's get right into our questions, and we'll just go around the horn. And, if you feel like this is something you'd like to chime in on, we have several to present to you. So chime in as you see fit. So again, we're talking about life skills, and the question is related to patience. And basically, what have you learned to master that you can share with the audience today in relations to patience and your life skills? Because we know patience is a virtue. And we don't normally ask for patience because we know what that means. So you've gone through something. So go ahead and share what you've learned.
So I guess I would say you learn patience on different levels. So I think you learn patience until you go to college, and then you get patience when you get out of college and you get married, and then you gain a lot more patience when you have kids or a child. And then also in the workforce too, you gotta be able to use that patience. So I think I've learned in different areas. I think definitely in this new role I'm in as a trainer, being patient with the new person, knowing that they're not going to know everything, and you kind of got to take your time. But also as being a parent, it's really important because you're expecting them to know something that they may not know. There may be, continued things that you do have to go over. And I understand now how my parents felt, and that's with 3, and we just have 1. So, I definitely get it.
Right.
All right.
I would say patience, definitely, like Trey said, it's in stages. For me, I was never patient, very impulsive, especially as a kid. Like, let's do it now. You got to do it all right now. And then as you get older, you start to realize that if you rush into something too quickly, then it can all just fall in your face. It can fall apart. And so I would say probably like in my 20s, started to realize, okay, maybe I do need to wait. Like maybe it doesn't, maybe there's a process. So I think that's the beauty about life is we build layer upon layer. And now, like in our almost 40.
Almost 40.
I start to realize, like, I love time. Like the waiting period is such a sweet blessing. Where before I was like, it needs to happen now. And I was like, I appreciate that time. And so I would say that with patience, one is like, oh, I just need patience for this. But truly, it's a matter of being able to wait, especially if you're dealing with other people. And it's really that place of extending grace to other people, because it can be an inconvenience to you if you allow it, or you can find it as a place of like, wow, how can I love this person and through this? So if you're speaking of individual people or in situations, just being able to enjoy the process, because as you allow the layers to go, it becomes sweet instead of it blowing up in your face. Could you jump in there?
Points. Okay. Good points.
Okay.
Spencer or Deidre, would you guys like to chime in?
Okay. Yeah, for patience, I know for the life skill that's related to it for me, I would say it's closely related to remaining calm and in stressful situations. I learned this life skill firstly in the military, just being in a high stress with that job right there, and just remaining calm with the people that are around you and having faith, in your system and all that. And then, as life progresses, then that, patience progresses also. You get different avenues. When I went to college, I learned a new type of patience there. And then, when I started dating and then got married, the patience just grew even more, because now it's not just me, I got to think about my spouse also. So, I guess, just evolving into patience there. And, and what Trey and Erica hit on, we don't have any kids yet, but I'm pretty sure when that will have even another depth of patience on our hands.
Exactly. Yeah. You're gearing up.
Now, like, since we've been talking about it, when I was first thinking about the question, I didn't think about this, but I was in a waiting season for a very long time, and I never prayed for patience. And like you said, be careful because you never know what's gonna come. Well, I mean, I prayed for patience, but I guess didn't think it would be that. And what I'm referring to is waiting for marriage was a very long time for me. And I didn't think about it then as patience, but I guess I would say that I've learned that during that time. And I guess what that looked like was prayer and even just letting it go. Even though I don't think I really did in the waiting period, just letting it happen. I'm still learning that. But I think that's probably what I grasp and what I continue to grasp day by day.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Good answers. I love the perspective of it all. Speaking of perspective, your outlook or your view. So how can you help our audience from what you've learned, your perspective or your outlook or your view on life or whatever that perspective may be? We'll circle back with Spencer again, and then we'll come back to Trey and Erica.
Okay. So with perspective there, for me, it was a skill that I acquired, I would say, later in life. Because growing up, I was always, you could say like a selfish phase, and I always thought of myself and how I felt. And then, once I started getting in a serious relationship, then I had to get that perspective. It's not just me now. I have to think about, how does my spouse feel about certain situations? I have to see it from her. I have to see it from her angle and try to understand more, of why she feels the way that she does. Not saying, that her way is wrong or my way is right, anything like that, but just understanding, how she get there and all that. So that was my bit of perspective there. My knowledge when I learned about it. So, and as I get older, I apply that to other things in life now. I also apply that in my work. How do other, if I ask something from a different department, how does that affect them? So I just put things in perspective. Is a great skill. I think everybody should definitely practice it. The earlier the better, so you can get better at it as you get older. So,
right,
I'll leave it at that.
Okay.
All right.
Okay. That's good.
Good points.
Good.
Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Deidre.
No, good. That was great. Again, I guess I have a different understanding of the question. So my thought, I guess, applies to, I think, who I am, which then goes into my field of work, which is social work. And I always try to think of other people, like what their life looks like from their perspective, which is, I think, what helps me in the field that I'm in. I can be, I consider that as considerate, thinking about other people and their experiences. So that teaches me to learn from other people and to listen more. And, I have my own perspective as well. I guess, I guess I don't know where I'm going with that, but as I learn from other people, I guess I grasp from that. I'm not so much of a person that voices my opinion or my perspective. Should I say?
Okay.
So, that could be good or bad.
Mm-hmm. You're right.
Okay.
Absolutely. As a social worker, I'm sure you gotta look from the family standpoint as well, not just. But then you got hospital guidelines, so
yeah,
I think to consider.
Yeah, and sometimes taking other people, hearing and listening to other people, taking other people's perspective can also be heavy.
Yeah. Right.
That's a good point.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think looking at perspective is an interesting thing, because I think part of it is looking from another person's perspective. So not just thinking this is how I grew up, or this is what I know. So I'm expecting that other person to have the same perspective, but that's not true. So I think for me, throughout life, I've really learned to consider other people's perspective, because they could be different. They could be something that I'm not used to understanding or hearing, but that doesn't mean necessarily that their perspective is wrong or that it's something negative about it. So that's one thing that I've really tried to do, is really to hear other people's perspective and not and try to understand it and try to help them where they are if they need help. So that's looking at things from another person's perspective is kind of the way that I was thinking about this question.
Okay. Good.
I think
before you address that one, we're going to move on to persistence, tenacity, and determination. So how can you help our viewers in that area of life skills, persistence?
So when it comes to persist, I think it depends on your why, like what. Because you can be persistent about something that's not good for you. Like you don't need that. But if it's, I guess, as it relates to like what, marriage or kids or
however you want to break it down. We didn't really want to guide you guys through the questions because everybody's take on it could be different.
Yeah.
And that's good, because you have people from different walks of life that are viewing, and so yeah, whatever you feel like you would like to share in that area is fine.
So when I think about being persistent and being tenacious and things, if it's healthy. So when I say healthy, meaning that, like when we talk about perspective and how you bring that in, sometimes you might be thinking a certain way about a certain thing, that it needs to be this way. It has to be that way. And I used to be very black and white. And I think part of my background, being in commercial, handling litigation, it can make you a little hard, because no, it's either this or that. There is no gray. If that's your issue. I mean, it was really bad. And so but then when you bring that stuff into your life, like you're trying to do life as a married couple, and you're like, hey, there's certain ways that you might feel or see something. So I could be persistent and know it has to be this way and be so wrong. And so now when you take that same thought of being persistent and tenacious in the things that you're wanting to accomplish, whether it's career goals, whether it's educational goals, health goals, then that's a beautiful thing to just be. It takes consistency. I feel like that's one of the things that I always struggle with was consistency, because it requires setting priorities. And I think when you're young and it's just you, it's easy to do what you have to do because it's just you. You don't have to think about anyone else. But then when you're responsible for other people or accountable to other people, now you have to prioritize. And yet you can't use the excuse, well, I mean, I gotta cook, I gotta clean, I gotta do this. I can't go do this. I can't. And so it's being able to say, no, this is what's on my plane, like looking at the playing field and say, okay, where do things fit and how do I fit it? And maybe I can't do, whether it's you're trying to accomplish a health goal or whatever, maybe I can't do it 7 days a week or 5 days a week, but I can do it 2 days a week. So with that 2 days, I'm going to work that 2 days that I have and be grateful for that and celebrate that. And not be consumed with, but I didn't do this, and focus on what I did do. So yeah, I think you can look at it in two ways. Persistency is a great thing, but if it's healthy, if you're moving in a right direction, but if it's more from a selfish place or from a place of selfish motivation, then it may not be healthy for those around you. You have to reevaluate it.
Good point. Good point. Those were always helpful in our marriage, the persistency and the different backgrounds that we grew up in. It did look different, quite different from a family of 6 to a family of 1 or one, a single child. So yeah, that was, and so that there's some blending that has to, like you said, and that one of those 5 C's, that compromise. So Trey, I'm not going to overtalk you. Go ahead. Persistent.
But I do think, though, really quick, I was thinking about Deidre and Spencer and how sweet y'all are in your first year. So I know you've had your first fights, or they're coming, and they'll be funny next year. But I know when we first got married, I had lived on my own for a little while, and he had never lived on his own. And like lights, leaving the lights on and doors open. And it was like, and so it's funny when you talk about different ways of living. And I used to, one day I came, I'm like, turn all the lights off. And I'm like turning the lights and slamming the doors. And he's just like, what's the big deal? But it's funny after, like I said, after the first year, it was funny. It's like, okay, this is not a big deal. But you realize how you have 2 different ways of doing things. And sometimes you don't even think about it, because I don't even think you thought about it.
No. I mean, I went from college to being married. I had a roommate.
You don't have to pay the bills. That's why I said when I come to your house and to the Bryant house, yeah, I'm flipping all of them. One of the dishwasher. I'm just kidding. Go ahead, Trey. No, not kidding.
But I think persistence is another thing like perspective, because persistency could be in different areas. So if you're, I go to kind of a sports analogy. If you're wanting to make it and you want to be a pro, or you want to get a college scholarship, or whatever your goal is, there's persistency that deals with that, or that you have to put in the time and the work. And even with marriage, there's persistency, because there's going to be times. I don't know if persistency is a word. I think I'm making it up. Persistent. I just made up a word. Put it in the Merriam-Webster.
Now good.
It's in the Websters.
Okay. But I think there's times, there's up and downs for all of you that are listening. I know you guys, maybe some have not have been married, but there's things that you're going to go through. But it's being persistent and being able to deal with the issues as they come along, and not letting it, necessarily sit there. So I think in different areas, and I kind of agree with Erica, what area are you trying to be persistent in? But I think with that, you will kind of reap the rewards as you're being persistent, and as you're continuing to I think dig deeper, even as you're going throughout it. Like,
it's being willing to fight. I think it's being willing to fight for that thing that's most important to you, like no matter what. And so that fight, and it could be in the sense of saying no to certain things, like some things, no, like you might want to do it so bad or go somewhere on a trip. But if you take it in terms of marriage, it's like, no, you know what, we really need to have this time together, or we really need to do this. So being willing to fight for that, because I think you come to those places where, again, you got to look at the playing field and say, what's most important? And yeah. So I feel like being persistent, being willing to fight for those things that really matter.
Definitely.
Okay. All right.
So for me, I kind of feel like persistency is an assignment for me. I say that because like I'm very probably too structured. I get it from mommy, just very so I'm very persistent and I guess consistent. Like we said, that's like similar with my work at home and with the goals that I have, like goals or, you know, skin goals, hair goals. So I'm very good about making a checklist and making sure reminders in my phone. But I say now I think it's an assignment for me because we go back to the first question about me being in a waiting season and what I pray for, what I fasted for, what I have the vision for. And we like Miss and then like Erica said, you know, we're still in our first year, we're still getting there. And so in as it pertains to marriage, it's definitely an assignment to me. It's easy with work, it's easy with music, or you know, I gotta get this done. But when it comes to character, your character, and how you communicate with people or how you try to do things right. I think also I think of that when I think of persistency. It's an assignment for me right now.
Okay.
And I think all of these, you know, I'm grateful for my husband because all of these P's kind of mesh together.
Yeah.
It's interesting that patience was the first one because in order for you to be persistent, you know, patience is a part of that. I think they all kind of mesh together. And these are talking about. Oh, go ahead.
No, I was just I just thought of something else as to why I say it's an assignment because it's not easy. And, you know, especially when you have an idea in your mind of what you think you deserve or what you think is fair. But it's still, like I said, when it is in terms of doing right, that, you know, then it becomes an assignment. And then we have to be careful with, or I have to, let me not say we, I have to be careful with, I don't want to do it. You know, like if you're in school, you can't, I mean, you could not turn your homework, but then you're not going to pass the assignment.
Right.
So,
yeah,
it's a stretch. You know, that's what a lot of the life skills are, because as you're growing up, you kind of get into this mold, right? It's just like, it's basically like a la 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 la. I don't have to trip. I don't have to worry about any of that. But then you cross over that threshold into like teenagehood, or, you know, for our kids, it was every year you had something new on your plate to do. Then it becomes like, oh, wait a minute. You know, it's a stretching process. It's a molding and a shaping, and it is different. So then you have to make adjustments, you know. Like someone said, there's seasons in all of these life skills that kind of allows you to perfect them even more. I think that's something Erica and Spencer said. So let's go to purpose. We all know that we have a purpose in this life. And what are you doing to make those purposes that you know you've been called to do effective? You know, there are purposes in life that I know that some of them are just natural. Our pastor is talking about that. They're just natural. They're our passions. And so again, some of them do come natural. And then some of them, you know, you're still going to work them and make them more effective in each season of your life. So let's start with Spencer on that, your purpose.
Okay. So when it comes to my purpose, it's something, you know, that I've been basically looking to see exactly what is my purpose that God has assigned for me. Because I've known, you know, I've talked to other people and things like that, and you know, they get in the later ages and it's like they're still searching for their purpose, but they haven't paused on their life though. Just because you know, for me, I know I would say found my exact purpose, but I'm still doing, you know, things that I deem necessary so I can get to my purpose. So when I do figure it out, you know, I'm 100% prepared for it. You know, when it comes to work and things like that, I don't know exactly what I want my my end goal to be for my career, but I still have purpose. You know, I'm still seeking for certifications in my career field. I'm also looking at further education by getting an MBA. There are still things that I'm still doing until I figure, out what my purpose is. And then, when it comes to my marriage, my purpose is, I would say that right there is a little more easier to define because it's something I've been thinking about for a while. I want that successful marriage, and I just don't want to be just married for a long time. I want to be happily married for a long time. That's been one of my big goals. I've seen other couples, who just stuck together, just because it's easy to keep her. As you would say, but I don't
the song reference.
But yeah, I strive for more though when it comes to my marriage and stuff like that. I want us to both be equally happy with our marriage. I know with my wife, I'll ask her, I actually constantly are you happy? Am I doing the right things? And things like that, and depending on what you said, I take that feedback. Sometimes, it's something that I want to hear. Sometimes things I don't want to hear, but but I asked for it, so I have to be prepared for the outcome. But yeah, but I take it in stride. But yeah, I take it in stride, and I build upon that. So yeah.
Okay, good.
That's good. From both your marriage, your spiritual, and your career. I like that. You gave the three perspectives of that.
And before Trey answers, let me just add to what I don't know what to call her, Oma or Mom, or I can't call her by her first name. But anyway, she had mentioned about what Dr. Dewey. We're on purpose and Bible study, but he also made a differentiation between occupation, employment, and purpose. And a lot of people get confused that their occupation is their purpose when it's actually just their way of earning a living. It has to do with purpose. And he gives examples of Paul, the tent maker, and Jesus Christ as the carpenter, but that wasn't their purpose. That was their occupation. So I like the way Spencer chimed in on, his purpose right now is to make sure his marriage goes in the right direction. Okay, Mr. Podcast.
I didn't want to pass up Deidre if Deidre wanted to say anything.
No, but I was going to say, because I've been listening to the Bible study as well, and it really has me thinking because at my job, everybody is leaving, nobody is happy, and my whole thing is before I move on to something else, I want to know what my purpose is, and then, then Pastor was talking about it doesn't have to be your career. If it is, then great, but if it's not, so I don't know, I think I know what my God-given purpose is, but then there's that I don't know, So I was just gonna say that. I'm not gonna go much more into that.
So I was. It's a kind of multifaceted answer, and I kind of like what Spencer said. You may not know what it is, but you waking up every day. There's a purpose to you waking up, or else God wouldn't have allowed it. So I think your purpose is every day. Like somebody, there's that person that reaches out to you every day that asks for advice. There's that person that sends you a text or somebody asks you a question about something. And I heard one thing, in the past that whatever you do for free, and you have a passion for it, could be your purpose. I'm not gonna say that it is, but I'm gonna say it could be your purpose. So I think I've struggled with that really for a while, up until I would say 2015. And the minute I did that one podcast, I was like, okay, that is my passion. And then but I think the purpose part didn't come until people started asking me about how do I get into it. And I think just being a helper, being someone that's able to give advice in this area, I think is my purpose, because it literally has not stopped. There's people almost every week. Like, how'd you do that? How'd you do that? What is it that you? What are some of the things that you do? So I think a purpose is your daily life. Like Spencer was kind of saying, just living your daily life on purpose. you know, and I think also as you continue to do those things that you're passionate about, that could potentially be your purpose.
All right.
Good.
Okay.
Okay, Erica, go ahead if you want to do perform. Go into performance to that.
When I think about purpose, I think we have to go to the core of who you are, like the core of who you are. So when I think about Trey or even just everyone around here, I'm still get to know you, Spencer, but like the heart of who you are, if it's your nature to help people, it's your nature to be able to lead, organize, plan. It's your nature to bring order to situations. And so when you're young, it looks a certain way. Then you get a little bit older and it looks a different way. And so whether you work at McDonald's or you clean the bathrooms or you work on the 34th first floor with the big title, that's not what defines who you are. I feel like your purpose is the core of your being, and you can, and so when Trey says it intertwines in every area of your life. So in a day, you get up in the morning, you go from in your household, maybe you've organized, you plan, the meals are ready, these things are in order, like that's your thing. And everybody has their thing, right, that they do within their home. And then you go into your office or you log in and in there. So you're doing it with excellence, and it comes naturally because it's a part of who you are. It's not a thing. I used to think when I get to this title or this level, that has nothing to do with it because it can be wiped away. But the core of your being, and then it continues to evolve. And what I really honestly believe is that as God can trust you in different places to be authentically who you are, who he's called you to be, then he expands you. And so then it goes into other areas. It looks different ways, but the core of your being doesn't change. Like that is your purpose. It matures and it evolves. So that's my thought on it. I feel like your purpose, that's who you are, no matter what. Whether you get fired tomorrow and you got to go pick up trash, you're going to pick up with excellence and a smile and speak into people because that's who you are. Or if it's singing, you might be singing all the way down. That's who you are. And then from that, God's like, I can trust you in this space. Now let me expand that lane and move you into these other areas.
Okay. Good point. Good.
Well, we're going to take a quick break here and recognize our viewers. We have Bishop McElwain viewing with us today. Sister Mama Joe is on the Thank you for tuning in. And Brian B. Williams, thank you. Thank you, sir, for tuning in. Such a blessing to have you on board with us. For our next question, and we'll go to Deidre. What life skills do you display relating to your daily performance in life or at work, however you want to expound on that, which most of you already have.
Right.
Yeah, so I kind of like what we talked about earlier, persistence or maybe perseverance, I would say. Timeliness, very structured, should I say, organized, and being mindful. Having mindfulness is, I think, a gift. Not everyone has that in terms of like, yourself, and also how you're, maybe like displaying yourself or coming off to other people. And then also how mindful you are of other people. So I would say that, especially with my job and daily performance at home, whether it's making sure dinner is at a certain time that's not too late, or making sure when I wake up in the morning, which is way earlier than Spencer, I'm not stomping everywhere, that comes with, even though he's still
an army or something.
or setting out food for Kobe in the morning, because I know, Spencer may not get up at the same time as Kobe, so little things like that.
Consideration. I hear you. Okay, Spencer, performance.
Okay, So with performance, the life skills I would say relate the best for me. First would be communication. And I can say I would use communication in basically all facets of life. With the job, communication is key. With my faith, communication is key. and then especially with my marriage, communication is key. And then to build upon the communication though, this is one thing that I learned while in premarital, was comprehension. You can be talking all you want to, but if they don't comprehend what you're saying, it is. Hey, we hear you talking, but we don't really understand you. It's basically, communicating it at their level so they can understand what you're trying to say. So for me, that would be the two biggest skills for me when it comes to performance is communication and comprehension.
Okay, I like it. You got a couple C's in there. All right.
Right. That's good. Okay, Trey, performance.
Yeah, I think when it comes to life skills, really listening, because you in your day-to-day, listening is important. I think also not listening to respond or not listening to what you're going to say, but just listening to listen, because a lot of times, even in just at work, if I'm on the phone with a customer, I'm listening to like, what am I about to say next? But let that person speak. Let them say what they're going to say. If they're frustrated, let them get the frustrations out. And I think in this role now, as like a trainer, really being able to listen to the other employees, to what issues you're having, and then giving them sound advice as to what you need to do next, or what's in the next part of your role. And I think as being a parent, definitely listening to your child, listening to those things that they say, having a keen ear as to what they're saying, and if there needs to be a follow-up conversation about that, like something that you hear that's okay, that doesn't sound like something you would normally say. So I think listening and really, and the other thing is keeping an open door. So like with work, they can always call me with whatever it is. With BSC Radio, my door is always open. Everybody has my number. So if there's something that they are struggling with or something they don't understand, send me a text. Say you got time to talk, because that goes back to, I think, purpose. Like that's being able to communicate and being able to share with them things that I think that they can improve on. And that's the same thing with marriage. Listening is both ways. So you got to be able to listen, as long as your spouse has to be able to listen. So it's a two-way street there.
Okay.
Exactly.
All right.
Good point. About that phone though, with boundaries, right?
Yeah, with boundaries, yeah.
That comes with boundaries too, Anyway, go ahead, Erica.
I would say for me, when it comes to performance, like I used to strive for perfection, and it's just not real for me. I just think of being communication, what Spencer said, is huge. Communicating, being transparent, and excellence. Like I take my day and I'm going to give it my best. Sometimes I'm going to miss it. Like sometimes I'm going to miss it, but I'm okay communicating. Like I'm okay saying, you know what? If it's dinner and it's 8:00, family, I am so sorry. I did not plan well, but we'll figure it out. Like so for me, it's just communication, being transparent, excellent, and just loving. Like even with family, oh my goodness, there's so much I would love to be able to do with each family member, and it just I accept like some things you just can't do everything. But what I get to do, like when God gives me those moments, I dive in. If I get to have that time with, when we got to come to Atlanta and I needed help with their shoes, things like that, like I dive into those moments. Like, Lord, thank you for that time. And so before, I used to be super hard on myself. I got to do this. And I do checklists. I am organized. But I realized, like, especially with COVID, like, I'm thankful to be alive. And so in the moments I have, I want to make the best of those. And if I miss it, man, I miss it. The world doesn't end. Everything's okay. we just keep it rolling. We adjust. We learn to pivot. And then if the Lord gives us tomorrow, then hallelujah, we just keep going with it tomorrow. So that's how I approach each day.
That's a life skill in itself, learning to relax and just flow with it. Again, I give kudos to my husband. I'm one of those intense, perfectionists. I am definitely that. I don't know if y'all remember that movie, when he said, God made me like this. I mean, that's who I am.
Holiday.
There you go. I'm talking about sports.
No.
Terrence Howard. Y'all remember?
Yeah.
But anyway, to learn how to relax, that is something in all of our years, 45 years that Daddy has been the relaxed person in the marriage. And so I've learned a lot from him, that I'm not so intense. So we're going to move on to our next question. Now, what are some life skills that your father had taught you that you value and that you live by even to this day? Even to this day. And we'll start with Spencer.
For me, I would say one of the best skills my dad passed down to me was the ability basically to be able to fix, whatever problems is in front of you. And to add on to that note, like no matter what else, things are around or pressuring you, be able to fix, what problems been presented to you and come out with a successful outcome. Be granted, no matter if it came from trying to pay a bill, fixing things around the house that broke, or just anything. If the wife is upset, doing what you have to do to make that thing right. And that was one of the best things I say my father passed down to me.
Excellent.
So, Daddy,
Right.
now I know mommy calls you relaxed and everything, but you are very structured as well, and with traditions and how that plays into morals and spirituality. That is I got that from you. And so whether that's tucking in the sheets, you were so big about that, tucking in your shirt, standing up when in church when they reading the scripture, so all of that, I would say all of my traditions, and probably too much, but all of that I would definitely say I got from Daddy, but also hard work. When Trey left, I was Daddy's, little helper with putting up the bed or, whatever. So that is non-traditional a little bit, a female doing things that, technically a male should be, gender roles. But so I also learned hard work from that as well. Seeing Daddy, grow from, or I guess be elevated, should I say, from being the janitor at church to the pastor. And then there was me being the janitor. So
I remember that.
Okay, I was the right-hand man. So yeah.
Right-hand girl.
Right-hand girl. And I dare not touch. I don't like it now, but I can do it, because I was taught that. So
right. Good examples. Okay, Trey.
All right. I just want to make sure he was coming to me. I don't want to. I've learned a lot, man. There's a list that I could give that I've learned from my dad, but I'm gonna go over a couple. Learning how to tie a tie. I mean, there's a lot of guys that did not have someone that taught them how to tie a tie. And then I don't have a son, but I remember teaching a kid from church how to tie or tying his tie, just because I've learned that. That's a basic, somewhat of a basic skill that as a man, someone has to teach you. And my dad did that. I would say definitely work ethic, like Deidre said, putting in your all into something, and also doing your best. Sorry about the camera. Hold on, I'm gonna fix it.
Okay.
But I think, I think it's important to really be able to put your all into something and do it with excellence and take your time. Cleanliness. Now, I'm not gonna say I'm the cleanest person, but when it's time to clean, you get in the crevices, you get behind all of these spots. Now I find myself doing that with Ari, over here, wipe around, sweep. I mean that kind of stuff that I've learned.
If you do it right the first time, you ain't got to
Come on, we gonna get to some of that little funny. Good points. Good points. I'm glad I have a clean man. Thank you, Lord.
Definitely. The other thing I was to say is patience and calmness, because there was a lot of maybe things that I wanted, and some things you had to work for, some things you had to sit your money aside for and work for, and the patience thing and the calmness too. I believe I got that from him, because I find myself like, you're always so calm, and I always say it's not that I'm not reacting. I'm just thinking about it, or I'm reacting about it inside, but I am upset. Okay. You never get mad. Like, I'm mad. You just don't know I'm mad. But yeah, those things of many others I could give.
Yeah.
I would say from my father, what I learned was just hard work. My father always working, always, and he was in construction, and so he would have like 3 or 4 jobs. He'd have side hustles, and so I've worked since I was 14, and that's like that. I know how to work. Like
yeah, scoot in a little bit. Your head was behind a little bit.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
So in like, how to hustle, how to work. And then for my grandfather was really, really impactful in my life. I feel like my grandfather taught me how to cross the T's and dot the I's, how to really refine, and how to see things from like a higher level. And so you don't just have to hustle, but now how can you create something? How can you create legacy? How can you build something? And so I feel like between the two, I've been able to glean a lot from both.
Okay. All right. So back around the horn with the life skills you've learned from your mother. And Erica, go ahead and we'll work our way back down.
Okay. From my mom, just very very organized to the T. I will say what's funny. So my mom, I feel like she's always together, always, and I love that. But when I was a kid, I hated that. So we had to wear dresses and all that. So one thing you guys probably realize, you probably have only seen me in a dress maybe 2 times. But now, as I get older, I start to think, wow, how these things, they were actually really good things. So I find myself now becoming a lot more like her in some ways. But I would say from my mom, just really, when things need to be done, you get it done. Like, that was her thing. We don't need to spend all day. If it needs to get done, we get it done. We'll have to think about it. We'll get this done. But no, so that, and then just always, like, there's just no excuses. Now, I do think I extend some grace now, but just there's no excuse. It's like, if this didn't work, why didn't it work out? Now you fix it. So those were some things that I really learned from her. And I feel like have actually been a blessing in a lot of ways. I will say, like, especially having a daughter who likes to be girly and dressy and all that, I feel like at least I learned some things that now I can help support her.
She's wearing a dress right now.
She wears a dress.
Yeah, that's my girl. The very thing that you like you said, despised will come back. It will come back. Okay.
You mean the dress? Yeah, wearing the dresses, the purses, because I purses and headbands, and I'm like, oh, but that's her thing. So
okay.
Yeah. I would say that I've learned from my mom is attention to detail. Like, I didn't really realize, as I'm talking about it right now, I don't really realize how I see things all the time. It's just a matter if I say something about it, but I can see things all the time, like that needs to be moved, or something's incorrect here, or especially being a trainer now, like there's a lot of things that I see that now I'm pointing out to people, like, hey, this is not, no, it's not a fire, but this is something that, you need to work on, fixing and adjusting. Also, you win some, you lose some, playing so much in sports. My mom was like that person, like, hey, it maybe didn't go how you thought it should go, but like there's going to be, you're going to win some, you're going to lose some, and you spend some and you save some. I still remember that, her telling me that because, there's times that you do spend money, sometimes you save money. So then you have money when, when things come up. So those are the things for sure that I could say that I use on a daily basis.
Okay.
Okay, good.
All right, Deidre.
Okay. So I wrote down a few things, but the last thing definitely, like paying attention to detail, I can agree. And money management for sure. Selflessness. Mommy now that I'm married and mommy sees how I am, and she's like, you don't have to do all that. You don't have to be that way. And I'm like, how are you going to tell me? Like, I learned this from you. So selflessness, and then self-sufficiency with, hopefully it's okay I say this, with the arthritis and everything. You know, you still do things on your own and not making an excuse. So I learned that. And then mental strength, which I guess comes with spirituality as well, you know, us as being a Christian, able to, you know, whether that is speak the word or go into warfare. I'd still, you know, wanted to be able to pray as well, I guess, as impactful, but definitely learned that from you. And then last thing I would say is professionalism, like, you know, whether it was the programs at church or, you know, you working at the port, just very professional, and glad that people that aren't Black recognize that in you as well. And I see that within me.
Okay.
All right.
Thank you. Make me want to cry. Go ahead, Spencer.
For me, when I think of my mothers, I mean, there's so many things that come to mind. One of the top things that come to mind, I would say, if I had to put it in a skill, would be resilience. You know, when it comes to my mom, you know, she was, you know, everything, you know, for us growing up. You know, when my dad got sick, you know, my mother didn't know, fret over it. You know, she knew the Lord would take care of him. You know, we're talking about, you know, me and my brother are like, you know, we're in grade school, you know, we're like 7, 8, you know, and my father, he's in the hospital, he can't work anymore and stuff like that. So my mom, you know, what she does, she goes out and get a second job now. And so now me and my brother staying in, you know, at my grandmother's, you know, but she's off there working her second job, you know, and this is something she just did, you know, on a whim. You know, she didn't think about it. She knew that she had to step up and provide for the family. And, you know, and these, and like that kind of thing right there kind of shaped me growing up. You know, when I got older, you know, I didn't make excuses, you know, like some of my other peers have done. You know, I just go out and do it. You know, if there's something that needs to be done, I just go out and get it done.
Yeah.
And things. So I mean, when I think about my mother, I mean, I think there's so many things that come to mind. Even with my job, you know, when I wanted to switch over to a different role, you know, I was trying to figure out what I want to do. Did I want to get into sales? Did I want to get into engineering? And I looked at seeing what my mom was doing. She was doing project management. She's a project manager down for the city of Albany. So I followed my own mother's footsteps with my career also. So I went and became a project manager now. And now I'm working towards getting my certifications to further myself in project management. So I mean, I took so many things from my mother, and that's a testament just you know, of how strong she is, and you know, the warrior that she is, and you know, and things like that. So,
I hope she's watching to hear that, huh?
Sorry, I was going to add one more thing. Cleaning the kitchen. Like I know I didn't really learn any cooking skills. I'm gonna just say that. But I did learn how to clean the kitchen, and I think that is a resourceful tool as anybody, but as a man for sure. So if you're living on your own, or if you're married, like if your wife's doing all the cooking,
a great team.
You should be able to do the cleaning, so she doesn't have to do all of it.
Thank you.
Amen. Amen. Like you said, all the crevices, huh?
Oh yeah. Make sure that pot all the way clean.
This is phenomenal. This has been great. Guys. The hour has already flown by. Can you believe it?
Right.
It's been an hour, and we only halfway through. We would love to invite you back, but I know Deidre's schedule may not permit her to come back. But we just want to thank you, and we have just gleaned so much from your experiences and your life skills. I don't know if you see the ticker, but your life skills, we can tell, has come from God and come from family. We covered father and mother. and definitely your life experiences. You have covered the things that you have learned from life. So we just want to just briefly go over scripture. You know, we talked about Proverbs this particular session when it comes to this month and topic of life skills. And you know, that's the book of wisdom. And Proverbs 1:8-9 says, "My son, hear the instructions of thy father, and forsake not the law of thy mother, for they shall be an ornament of grace to thy head, and chains upon thy neck." You know, we had some other topics and some other areas, but you guys have done so well. You covered the spiritual growth of it. And as Deidre mentioned, some of those life skills that I taught her, even though they were mainly designed for men, but now she still has that inclination and that desire to do certain things because she watched her father, she helped her father. So those things are very, very understanding in the heart. You talk about the communication, which is very good, and also the empathy and the sharing with one another. We love those, and the skills of working with your hands and volunteering and leadership and the teamwork as a marriage and teamwork also when it comes to your occupation and when it comes to being a leader, and just using this as resiliency and for planning and organizing, which is life skills of the head. I mean, you guys have really been phenomenal guests. We just love the way you did your input and the way you just gave us all of the knowledge and all of the good nuggets that we needed. We just thank you so much. We thank you so much. It's definitely something that go far beyond what we had anticipated. And we, you know, like to keep it to an hour. We don't want to stress or belinger the point when it comes to our viewers. But I'm gonna let Mom say something before we close out.
Well, just really quick, we always recognize birthdays on our podcast. And of course, you guys know, but I guess may not know that my husband celebrated his 62nd birthday on April 12th. Our grandson, Philip, on yesterday, April 16th. And then his best friend, Bubba, is what we call him. Bubba's Turner Hunt, Alfred Wright Jr. His birthday is coming up. He's a number 23. Yes. 23. And as well as sister-in-law Katrina and nephew Shane. Their birthdays are coming up on the 23rd and the 29th. But we just wanted to recognize that and thank you again for joining us. We'll talk offline if we're able to resume next week. If not, we'll just keep going on with these life skills. And the next 4 months, we're going to be focusing in on marriage. So we invite our guests to join us for that particular topic and all that may come with that.
So we always give our guests an opportunity to stress anything else that may be on their mind. I learned this podcast skill from my son. If you got a podcast or something you got going on this week or something you want to let people know what's going on, then we want to give you an opportunity. Go ahead and start off, Trey.
Yeah, so I have a show tonight. I'm going to be interviewing a hip hop group. It's called Just His League. They just came out with an album called The 7 Last Words. And so we'll be talking about that. That'll be coming up at 9 Central, 10 Eastern. And go to bscradio.com. All the episodes, all the content is there.
Okay. Erica?
Well, thank you guys for having us. This was fun. It was nice hearing Deidre and Spencer's perspective and Spencer hearing what you said about your mom. That was awesome. Very sweet.
Yeah.
All right.
Thank you. Thank you, guys.
Thank you. Spencer or Deidre, anything?
Just want to say thank you both for having us today on the podcast. You know, it was very insightful. Seeing other couples, at different stages of life, and be able to pick and learn from y'all. So yeah, I just want to say thank you.
All right. Thank you. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you. No.
What's so bad, Dee?
What you say?
I know we're always nervous, but it wasn't as bad.
No. I think But I'm just gonna have the announcement. So
Okay.
Praise team at the house of hope or anything like that.
no, nothing like
Coming
that.
up, nothing's coming up. Okay. Let's close out with Proverbs 1:5. It said, "A wise man will hear and will increase learning, and a man of understanding shall attain until wise counsel." But we thank you, we love you, and may God continue to bless you and keep you is our prayer.
Thank you.
All right, have a good day. Rest of your week.
See you guys. Love you. Have a good weekend, not happy weekend. Woo! That's the tiredness. Thank you, DJ, for the music. Bye-bye.
Bye.